Hi, what are we doing today? We are, I guess a couple of months ago now, probably. I don't know if y'all remember, I did an experiment where I hand drew from scratch a puppet head pattern. And it worked out really well. And I'm actually going to use that as the basis for my next new model for the shop. You take stream speed running. And sometimes, yes, actually. So the new model for the store is going to be a Goblin. And I really like the head pattern the way it is. Actually, here, let me get it down and we'll have a look. What camera should I go to? Maybe we'll stick with this camera for that because it's just kind of right here. So here's the head that we made during that experimental hand-drawn thing, and it's pretty good. So it's got a good head shape, right? Like that's a nice, pleasing form. I like the pointy mouth plate. All right. But I want to make a couple of changes to this. Out of shot here. Here we go. I want to make a couple of changes to this for the final Goblin. I want to make really just one change. I want to make a more exaggerated overbite so I can put some teeth in here that kind of hang down over the front of the mouth. So that's really it. This isn't a workable puppet. There's no grips in here. I mean, I could probably put some grips in there, but it's pretty nice. I like it. And we'll probably do future iterations where we do like a curved mouth plate. But for the moment, this is what we're doing. So let's have a look at what we got. And then we're going to take this pattern and alter it. So this is the skull. And based off of that, this is the fabric. This is the fleece. I don't necessarily need to do an alteration. That's all I really need to do for wrong camera. This one. All I really need to do for a more exaggerated overbite is to alter the mouth plate, and then the foam will kind of compress and stretch around that. I don't want to compress or stretch the foam too much, so I am going to do a new iteration of this pattern. But it's really the mouth plate that we have to change. So let's do that first then. We'll do the pattern for the mouth plate. Let me get some cardstock. What have I got in here? I may actually have to exit the room. Oh no, I got plenty. Here's a fresh piece of cardstock. And that pencil. And we're just going to trace out this mouth plate, but we're going to trace it as a single piece. This is the fabric mouth plate. This isn't going to change. All we're really going to do is take the existing mouth plate and we're going to change where the cut is, where the split is. Right? So this is the top, this is the bottom. We're going to move this down, I don't know, like a quarter, half an inch to make the bottom mouth plate much shorter than the top mouth plate, and that will create the overbite. Vice versa if you're trying to create an underbite. Overbite, underbite. We're creating an overbite. Do the opposite, you'll create an underbite. Words are hard. So right now I'm just going to trace it as a single thing. Always putting our center lines in. I am going to trace the old split. The way it is right now, it has a bit of an overbite. If you look, if I line these up, you can kind of see that's the big one in the back, that's the top plate, right? So the bottom one, so there is a little bit of an overbite, but we want more. We always want more. So we're just going to line these up. And we'll put in our center lines. Hope you all had a good weekend. I had a video game filled weekend. Well, of course, E3 and all. watching the Waypoint / Nextlander streams, which were a lot of fun. Microsoft did a very good showing, I must say. Okay, so here is the mouth plate as it exists as a single piece. And so all I really want to do is take this line and move it down. If we take let's make sure we mark top and bottom, always. And so we want to come down, I don't know, so whatever adjustment we make here, we are also going to make on the head pattern. So, yeah, I've been playing Elder Scrolls Online like a lot lately. I like that game a lot. Played off and on for years, but I always come back to it. So that's a 1/4 inch. That's probably about right. With this kind of thing, I find it's usually helpful to go a little bit further than you think you need. So maybe we'll go 1/2 inch. Seems like a lot. Split the difference, 3/4 inch. Go there. It still seems like a lot. That'd be fine. I'm overthinking it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. I mean, a lot of overbite is real good, actually, for this character. Because then we can put all kinds of little fangs around the front. So there's our new break point. Now, in order to make sure this is nice and symmetrical, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it and then cut it. That way there's no variance. Let me get that fold. I'm going to establish there. And then we'll fold it this way. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Let's get my cardstock cutting scissors. And this is the best way to make sure that your pattern is symmetrical. You know, every time, since I retrace this, there's always a little bit of variance that can happen. While it's folded, I'm going to cut a couple of notches in the top and bottom, and that will be our tracing marks, registration marks, as it were. So there we go. And now all we need to do is cut this along our new hinge point. Hinge. So there we go. That should be good to go. So now you see that's quite the overbite. But that's good. Like I said, it's a goblin. We want lots of little teeth in there. So let's mark this as Goblin overbite. Mouth plate. Trying to keep all this stuff straight because I have enough patterns now that I'm starting to I've actually run out of vanilla envelopes. I've got more coming. And also boxes. I run out of boxes to put bits in, so that's all coming tomorrow. And I'm getting a shipment from Puppet Pelts today with some eyes and some fleece. Okay, this is scrap, so that can go over there. So now we need to I want to do a slight alteration. Don't necessarily need to do this. The foam will conform to this mouth plate, but I like to kind of give it a little bit of a help, which means we're also going to need to make new fabric pattern, but that's okay. It's just a bit of cardstock. It's not a big deal. I am considering, actually, when this whole pattern set is done, I'm considering making this available to be purchased, because this is all completely 100% original. And it's a Goblin, right? So it's generic enough that it doesn't, like, you know, anybody can make it anything. It's going to come down to the features and stuff, right? So this may be the first pattern that I actually sell. I don't know what's going on with his music. I tried a different playlist. I apologize in advance. All right, so I'm going to trace the existing pattern as is first. We're actually not going to worry about the little Pac-Man disc in at the corner here just yet. Oops, missed a line. I mean, well, that's pretty obvious. It is, well, yes, it's like a techno chill beats kind of a thing. This is not that too chill, all things considered, but I suppose it's fine. Okay, so there we go. There is the pattern as it exists. So what basically we want to do is take that 3/4 of an inch, add it onto here, and subtract it from here, right? So that's fairly easy. There. Let's get about there. So our new mouth line then is going to be about there. All right. Likewise, we want to subtract that from here. I'm going to ease off on this a little bit. This seems like a lot. We'll see how it goes when we cut it out. All right, so you just have to kind of remember. Actually, it's a pencil. I can erase it. So that's our new bottom jaw. And this is our new top jaw. And this means that the foam isn't going to have to do a lot of work. This mouth plate should just sit in here, and this mouth plate should just sit in here, and we're all good. And the overbite that way will be a little bit less taxing. Now, since I am thinking of selling this pattern, I should put our little Pac-Man disc in here. Let's make it a bit bigger. This is, if you make it out of reticulated foam, you want to put a softer foam in the corner here. This is going to be made out of upholstery foam anyway, which is the softest foam I have, so the whole thing is going to be soft. Okay, we'll mark this Goblin floor bite. Foam. You won't worry about making a fabric pattern just yet. All the fabric pattern is this with a neck and a 1/4 inch added on for the lip fold. That's it. It's the same pattern. So we're going to cut this out and then we're going to start making it. Isn't that fun? Speaking of cutting out, there we are. My vision for how the Goblin's going to go is the head's going to be very, like the eye placement and stuff is going to be very chameleon-like. With those big bulbous eyes on either side of the head. A lot of fun character opportunities there. Eyelids and eyebrows and stuff. As always, it'll be very Muppety. The first thing we're going to do is make a mouth plate. I'm going to make this mouth plate assuming that this prototype will be store-worthy. We pretty much know what we're doing. So I'm going to put grips on it and everything like that. And I'm also going to make the mouth plate out of the same plastic that I make the Goblin mouth plate, so it's a bit flexible. Which, again, I think will add to the character. There we go. Scrap is too small to be useful, so let's toss that out. Okay, so we're going to put these aside because we don't need these right now. And we're going to start making a mouth plate. So, oh, I have to cut out the dart. I always forget to cut out the dart in the head. I don't know why. So the plan is I'm going to mess around with this today. I'm going to kind of be in like experimenting prototyping mode all week. So I'm going to mess around with this pattern today. I don't know if I'm going to get to fabric or not today, but I definitely will tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do a new pattern for the body. The funny thing is, I've got enough stock on the store now that it's relatively well stocked. Its sales are being very slow, but that's expected this time of year. But what that means is, since I have enough stock on the store, I can just kind of mess around right now. This is a good time to be prototyping new models, because then when sales do pick up, there's going to be a bunch of new interesting things on the store. So that's where we're at. This week at least. So I think next week I'll probably get back to building specifically for the store. Actually, wait, next week is Monday is the Goblin, the Pride Goblin. That's exciting. But that's only going to take a day, so. Okay, mouth plate. Let's see, what do we got? I know I've used one of these already, but I don't know where it is. So we'll just start a new one. This is one that's, I don't know, this is a cutting mat intended for bananas, I guess. You know, like you need a specific cutting mat for bananas. That's why it's yellow. So the first thing I'm going to do is sand this, take some of this gloss off of here. Somebody get the banana mat. That probably sounds great. Just doing a real rough sand just to give it some texture. Oh no, the bananas are going away. This side's tough to sand because it's got that gritted kind of a thing. But because of that, it has the texture already, and that's something for the glue to grab onto. So that's fine. That's fine the way it is. I'm gonna cover this in ultra suede anyway, so we good. So we're just gonna. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't do my notches. Always do your notches. something Anakin sand quote. Yeah, that's true. I think I'm too old to have this music. I think the Millennium Police are gonna come and arrest me soon. All right, we'll just trace out our mouth plate. Puppet making club music, yeah. Nice thing about this plastic is it's so thin I can cut it with shears. I got my junk shears. That weird gridded texture on the back is making the cutting kind of odd. We also want to make sure that we have that weird gridded texture on the inside, because even covered in ultra suede, that might show through. There's one. Weird gridded texture is a good way to describe this music. Yeah. Yeah. It's not, like I said, it's not bad. Okay. So now that we're here, we're going to do a couple things. We want to mark a 1/4 inch on the inside where the lip is going to go. So this is going to be the side that faces outward. So this is just going to go like this. All right. This is going to be the inside of the mouth lining. So in here we want a 1/4 inch. And that's just a guide. The other side we want a 1/2 inch because that's the thickness of the foam. This is just a guide for when I glue in the mouth plate, or the fabric mouth plate. Try and keep it aligned. That's one of the hardest parts of putting a head together. That's why so many people, most professionals included, don't do it the way I do it. And I wish I could get a real handle on the fold and glue method. They don't stitch in a hello camera. They don't stitch in a fabric mouth plate like I do. They finish the mouth plate and then they glue the fleece over top. And so you have a considerable more control, but I'm also clumsy enough that never works out nicely for me. It always leaves a really rough, ugly edge. And that's the advantage of sewing in a fabric mouth plate and then gluing it down, is you have a nice clean sewn edge on there that I prefer. And like I said, I'm also just too clumsy to do the fold and glue. There really is no right or wrong way, but most professionals do fold and glue. I'm what you call an exception to the rule. Make sure we've got our marks on there. So this is going to be the inside. And so we want 1/2 inch on this weird gridded texture. You can still, it just has to be rough. This is just so we know where to put the grips in. or like where our limits of putting the grips in will be. We don't want to put the grips right to the edge and then have to glue over top of them. I mean, that makes a stronger connection, but it also looks ugly. Sometimes you can see it through the fleece. So I try to line everything up. Tidy. Nice and tidy. We don't have a whole lot of room on the bottom plate now that we've shrunk it down. Yeah, we can just eyeball this. This isn't rocket science. But thankfully I can see the center line. The plastic is thin enough. Okay, so now we gotta do a couple of things. What should I do first? I think I'll file down the edges first, because despite the fact that this is nice thin plastic, these edges are still a bit sharp. So let's take a nail file. I'm gonna go here over the garbage bucket. So this is gonna sound terrible, probably. I assume. I guess it's not too bad. Not that I'm gonna mute the mic or anything. I'm just getting those corners down. We don't want, over time, we don't want any sharp little edges to be sort of chewing and biting through the fleece or the foam. Just round everything off. Make it all like Bishop Rice. Yeah, this plastic is fine. I've had plastic that makes a real loud squeak when you file it. This is fine. This plastic is so thin, there's only so far you can file it before it's like kind of a moot point. It is a bit of a squeak. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a slight alteration of the way I was doing the mouth plates before. Because before I was laminating the whole thing in ultra suede, and I don't think I'm going to do that this time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put ultra suede on this side, then fold it over and glue it on this edge, and then when we glue the mouth plate in, that's the edge that gets glued down to the foam, and it's going to be all sealed up, right? Yeah, record scratch, yeah. You're probably wondering how I got here. The moment in the Oracle, right? What's the worst that could happen? Needle scratch. Gotta start working on the next Oracle script. I have it in my head. I just gotta type it into something to make the words appear. Okay, so now we've got those edges filed down. We're going to start laying out where the grips are going to go. And these are my standard elastic strap grips. So, remembering that where the waffly grid is on the inside is where we want to be. So we'll go over there. So our holes are going to be like here and here. Kind of hard to see. It's pixel art. That's what it is. See, it's all pixely. There we go. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I tend to get a couple of kind of chord jokes rummaging around in my head, and I'll just keep repeating it over and over again and try and like build around that. So a script generally lives in my head in almost total completion before I ever start typing. Let's make sure we know that this is bottom and this is top. So now, actually, let's cut these straps first. We're going to be getting the power tools out. Probably covered in ink. I cannot use a Sharpie without covering myself in ink. I don't know why. I do know why. It's because I'm clumsy. Same reason I can't do fold and glue. All right, there we go. Am I covered in ink? A little bit. A little bit. But yeah, having the script in my head before I ever even start to write is generally helpful because I don't rehearse. That is my rehearsing, right? It's like I generally don't really need to refer to the script as I'm shooting. I only just, you know, for like make sure I don't miss a line or you know, order of operations kind of thing. But generally, it's already in there. And I'm forgetful, so it means that I do like 8 takes of every line. That's one thing I did the other day. So my main storage machine is Mac, and my Time Machine backup was full. I couldn't fit any more on it, and I realized I've still had all of the source files from every episode of The Oracle, and it's like, I don't, particularly for season 1, I do not need these anymore. I still got the masters, right? I still got the compiled videos in full quality, but I don't need, you know, the 8,000 outtakes, and you know, I don't need that stuff. So I just went through and sort of deleting all the old source files, particularly because the early episodes of The Oracle were made in Adobe Premiere and After Effects, and then I switched to DaVinci Resolve, so it's doubly useless to me. I can't load those files up again. So it's the way it goes when you have a limited storage space. All right, I'm grabbing the Dremel here. You can switch cameras for this. A rarely used camera that for some reason the video transition didn't work on. There we go. Getting the eye protection. Always important. I'm just going to drill our holes. And there we go. I love this Dremel. I know I say that a lot, but it's so handy. Okay, so now Well, now comes some sewing, actually. I have started not gluing these down first. I think I talked about this last time. It's really kind of not necessary. Once the stitches are in there, then the glue really doesn't do anything. So, unfortunately, there's a little bit of hand sewing coming up. So we'll switch to the hand sewing camera, which is in a weird position, I guess, because if I'm sitting back, that's about right. The sun's coming out, so now I'm a little bit overexposed as well. The camera's a little bit overexposed, I should say. I'm fully dressed. Okay. I see Swazzle has a new video on shaping foam. They're super helpful, the Swazzle folks. Sewing things. I know how to do that. Let me grab some thread I don't use a lot of. What do I not use a lot of? I use a lot of all of this. What's this? No. There we go. This weird multicolored. I think we need some different music. I think I'm officially done with this playlist. This is just supposed to be beats. I guess technically there are beats. Ska. There we go. It's only 40 tracks that don't have lyrics, but that's alright. Everybody loves ska. Maybe. I don't know. I like ska. Okay. So we're just going to stitch these grips onto the mouth plates. I'm assuming, what's our time like? 45 minutes. Yeah, I'm assuming I'll probably get the skull done, and that's going to be it for the stream. This does take a bit of time. I mean, considering that we've altered a pattern and we're starting from scratch, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, no. But like I say, Wednesday should be exciting because that's going to be doing a body. Puppet bodies are basically, for the most part, based on the tube. And then we just make changes to the tube. So it's not as complex as you might think. I mean, some are very complex, but once you know kind of how the shapes go together, you can do a lot. Okay. I should have marked which. I think that's, no, this is, yeah, the bottom is wider, so this will be the top. I'm proclaiming this to be the one for the top right now. Yeah, that's fine. Wow, that camera's really overexposed. I'm not going to do anything about it. Think of me as a fashion vlogger, right? This is what you do with a ring light. You make the camera overexposed, and then you don't see detail or blemishes. I'm like a L'Oreal commercial. Oh, this thread is terrible. Oof. Why am I doing this? No wonder I never use it. Other than the fact that it's weirdly multicolored. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Yeah, you kind of can. It's got gradations in the color. I don't know what this is for. Like, how do you control that? This is literally thread made to match nothing. Like, huh? You know what I'm seeing? I should, before I get too far into this, I should use a little bit of plastic that's... I don't know if you can see that. See how there's a little bit of plastic that's been raised for the drill? I'm gonna clip that off just to make sure. that it doesn't show through. Try not to cut the thread, but if I do, it's not a big deal because we just started, so. This side is going to be the visible side of the mouth, so we don't want any little bumps and things. There we go, that's nice and flush. Everybody loves flush. Lisa Puppets, hello! This is the new critter, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of you when I put the ska on. Yeah, this is going to be a goblin. And I kind of have an idea of how I want it to look, but we're just kind of messing around and seeing how it goes. Okay, there we go. All the little plastic spurs are off. Back to the sewing cam. You know what we gotta do? We gotta like form a stream team. What is it? Is that what they're called? They're called stream teams. Just me and Lisa Puppets. There we go. That's a little better. This thread is terrible. I don't know why I'm continuing instead of just changing it, but wow. This camera is so overexposed, I look like Galadriel. I think a person needs to be a partner. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I generally, when I'm playing an RPG, I generally play an elf anyway, despite the fact that in real life I have nothing like an elf, but I just like elves, so I'm Samwise. That's what it is. I'm a hobbit who just loves elves, right? Listen, I've talked about this before. Goblins are my favorite fantasy creatures of all by a wide margin. Everything but everything is based on the goblin, and just everything flows from the goblin. They are the monster. Which is why I'm a little surprised I haven't done a goblin until now. But I was saving it for something special, right? That's the thing. I mean, the Oracle's a goblin, so, you know. One day I'll tell the story, I think I've told it before someplace, but of the origin of the Oracle was not a goblin, actually. That kind of happened serendipitously, but it worked out for the best. Actually, it's a fairly quick story. I can tell it now while I'm hand sewing. This is a good time to tell stories because I'm just hand sewing. So I started the show, The Oracle, before I really started building. And so I had to sort of get puppets for the show. And the original concept for the Oracle was a kind of Skeksis-like creature. And I found a builder who claimed they could do the job. Turns out they could not. And particularly not on time. Because I didn't want to start shooting at a particular time. They had months of advance notice and still couldn't get it done in time. So, when it was clear that it wasn't going to happen, I had to start hunting around for an alternative. And I ended up going to Etsy and finding Ezequiel Marin Folgoso, who's a really wonderful puppet builder in Spain, who has a really great design sense. And he had this little, he didn't call it a goblin, but it's a goblin. I can't remember what he called it. So I bought one of those, did some alterations to it, and that's what became the Oracle. And now, of course, I've done the Oracle 2.0 with a complete redesign, and he's sort of intentionally a Goblin now, as opposed to just serendipitously a Goblin like he was before. The Goblin, there was going to be a Goblin on the show, but it was originally going to be the character that Frankie evolved into. He's going to be a bit different than Frankie. He's a little bit more abrasive. Frankie has mellowed over the years. Frankie was almost going to be an Oscar the Grouch type character at first, but he's kind of calmed down a bit. Yeah, no, it ended up working out absolutely for the best. But that's the funny thing, right? Like, most creative projects go through a phase like that, where it's just like, well, this isn't what we had planned, but this is better than what we had planned, right? So it all works out. The thing that was going to be the Skeksis creature did end up getting used on the show in the last episode of season 1, as the Ipsissimus. And I had to do a lot of work on that thing to get it ready to actually be used. And by that time I had started building, so I could do alterations to it. That's the story of the Oracle's origins. Alright, there's one grip. Time for the next. I think Lisa Puppets is about to go live, aren't you? Did I clean this one? Yes, I did. Okay, we're all right. Whew. So after I get these grips sewn on, I'm going to laminate one side with ultra suede. Not just regular suede, it's ultra suede. The history of how puppet come to be is so fascinating. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? One of the things that really, really got me into puppet design as a kid was seeing early sketches of the Muppets and how different they were from what the final product ended up as. That was just mind-blowing to me, and it started a process of understanding what design was, and understanding that things have to go through iterations, and they go through changes, and there's a whole process there. They don't just kind of happen. That was a really valuable insight. It still tickles me that Dr. Teeth is based on Dr. John and Elton John. Okay, almost there. I'm getting a little loose. Almost there. I can't hold them. Almost there. You have a great stream yourself, Lisa Puppets. Thank you for dropping by, as always. And you'll be going after I lumber back into the sea like Godzilla, so this channel will automatically host Lisa Puppets. So, of course, as always, do stick around after I'm gone for more puppet building excitement. I guess Lisa isn't technically building a puppet right now, but it's plush backpack, so nevertheless, I mean, you stick a mouth plate in that thing and it's a puppet, right? One more. And then when we're over the hand stitching segment, it's finally not hot, but it's still muggy. It's still really humid and gross. I don't like it. However, we are going to be playing with barge again today, and there's good enough ventilation in here that I don't think I'll need to use the respirator. I should point out that when I'm not streaming, I do use the respirator pretty much every time, unless it's just something super quick. What you want to be careful with things like barge is exposure over time. It builds up. So, not wearing the respirator only when I stream and have good ventilation is perfectly fine. Not going to cause any harm. Or to do that all the time, over time, that can cause like respiratory problems, and it's not good to expose your tubes to that stuff. Until just be smart. All right, gotta tie this off and then we're good. Glasses are slipping down. It's getting harder and harder to see what I'm doing. Not good. This is the last stitch. Don't you tangle. Okay, good. It helps if you talk to it. Okay. So now we can go back to the not Galadriel cam. So we're going to put some ultra suede. We're going to glue ultra suede on this side and have it go over the edge and then fold it over on this edge. So that means we got to get some ultra suede. What should I use? I use the good stuff. We'll use the good stuff. We'll assume this is going to be fine. We'll use the good stuff. I do not have as much of the good stuff as I thought I did. Oh well. And it's the way the egg rolls. Now I want egg rolls. All right, so I'm going to trace out our mouth plates again. And then we're going to add the seam allowance around the sides, so we can fold them over. So. Let's try and not waste it, huh? This is Ultra Suede from Puppet Pelts, and I talked about this before, but it is remarkable. I've got ultra suede from other places. It is not like this. The stuff I get from other places tends to fray really easily. This stuff doesn't even feel like it's woven. This actually feels like it's very, very, very thin, like paper-thin foam in a way. It's really weird. It does not fray. It doesn't even have, like, fibers with which to fray. It's very odd. And I love it, and it's expensive. So, when I say the good stuff, I ain't kidding. Okay, so now what we're going to do is and you know what? I don't even need to measure this. This is not a precise thing. I'm just going to eyeball the seam allowance around the edges here. Not around this edge, because this isn't... Maybe we should do it around that edge, too. That's going to change the size, the overall size. We don't want that, so I don't think we'll do that. I think it'll be fine. You know what? Yeah, we do. I want to be sure that we don't have any exposed edges. Ooh, that got a little close, but now, well. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. The interest in me not wanting to waste fabric. Okay. Scissors. So I know there's still a bunch of E3 related things happening. I know all the big ones happened on the weekend, but I'm not sure what's happening next. I think Nintendo is doing something. Obviously not with E3. I mean, E3 has become so completely irrelevant. The actual like E3 thing is just it's just the season now, and everyone's just doing their own thing, right? It's video game season. And all the video games come in season. Some friends and I regularly play Warhammer Vermintide 2. Have been for a couple months now. It's really fun. And they recently released a really big update that adds a whole new game mode, and it was really fun. We tried that for the first time in the weekend. We're looking forward to Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, which is like, what, next week? Week after, something like that? More 4-player co-op games is okay with us. Okay. I'm gonna sit on my foot, and that's probably a bad idea, but I'm doing it anyway. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue this down like that. And then we're going to glue these edges over, just like we've done, I don't know, a billion times. But this provides a much more, stable glue surface than this raw plastic. It just kind of encases it. It gives us a better gluing surface. So, like I said, I have good ventilation. The fan is going, and as a matter of fact, you can see the fan going, and very interesting video configuration there because the frame rate and the refresh rate on the camera is making the blades go all weird, and clearly they're not calibrated because they're going at different speeds. But I just thought that was cool. Glue. You know how to do that, Kevin. Oh, we're just going to put the glue. I just realized if I'm putting the ultra suede over this, there was no point in me marking this side. This is going to get plastered over with ultra suede anyway. Silly boy. What are you even doing? You know? Have you ever made a puppet before? Made a couple. Approximately 100 by last estimation. Which is really nothing. I've only been doing this for about 2 years. So really, I am just beginning. Compared to people like Swazzle, James Camp, Phil Fletcher, Lisa Puppets. I know Lisa Puppets has been doing it for quite a while. I'm just a newbie. You should probably stop listening to anything I say right now. I know BJ Geyer just did a workshop this last weekend. Another sign the pandemic is fading. It was in Las Vegas. Boy, I would dearly love to attend a BJ Geyer workshop in person, and one day it will happen. But not quite yet. We're just not quite there yet. Although I am getting my second shot this weekend. Finally. Which I'm hoping won't put Monday's Pride Greebly stream in jeopardy. I felt pretty awful for about a day after the first one, and apparently the second one's supposed to really knock you on your butt, so we may move the Greebly stream to Wednesday, depending on how I feel. We'll see. We'll figure it out. We always do. Okay, here we go. Hairdryer time, so I'm muting the mic. All right, now we're gonna put this, line it up nicely. There we go. All good. Nice and smooth. And likewise. Okay, so now we just want to do the around the edges here. Quick, like a bunny. Because we want to get to the skull. What's our time like? Hour 13. Even if I go over 2 hours, that's fine. The skull is going to be finished by the end of the stream. For sure. There we go. Glue is applied. Hair dryer's coming out. Now, did you miss the ska changeover? All right. Hair dryer's coming out. Muke's getting mited. Muke's getting mited. Mike's getting muted. You'd think somebody who does as many voices as I do would learn how to talk. Unmute the mite. Get these scissors ready because I'm going to have to trim these up. So we're just folding over the edge. He says in his best Bob Ross voice for some reason. Happy little folds. That's how your intestines work. Alright, so we've got it all cozied up around the plastic. And then when we glue this into the skull, that's going to get sealed. And it's going to be nice and strong. And I kind of realized this is probably a better way of doing this in general because of this texture that's on the mouth plate that actually provides a bit of grip. For the performer, so that's actually really good. It's a fringe benefit that I just realized. I fear I'm going to have to start doing this with the less amazing Ultra Suede because this is just too expensive to do this kind of internal stuff with. The other stuff is fine. It's just as strong as this. It just has a tendency to fray, so you got to be careful around the edges. This stuff is made of magic, and so it does not fray no matter what you do. Okay, there we go. There's our mouth plate. So it's gonna go like that. Next, the skull. Whew. One day what I have to do is just download all the tracks from Pandemic Sound, because you can do that I like, and just put them all in a big playlist and just hit random when I start the stream. That's the smart thing to do, and that's probably why I haven't done it yet. Okay, big sheet of foam that I prepared ahead of time, like a cooking show. This is that weird foam that I used the other day that ended up working out quite well. What did I build? I don't remember. I guess a small? No, I built hands. I remember hands. I made a greebly or something. Oh no, that's right. I made the new, the Squug, the new model for the shop. And the foam ended up working out fine. It's just weird texture. But hey, we're comfortable with weird around here. We're pro weird. I don't know about this camera. It's starting to bug out. I know for a fact I've already cut a bunch of stuff with the razor blade I have in play currently, so maybe we'll just be bold and go ahead and get a new one. I want to do something new and interesting with the hands for this character. I'm not quite sure what yet. I want them to still be my signature three-fingered thing, but I want them a different shape. You know, it's a goblin, so it needs to be all long-fingered and goblin-y. It's just not an adjective, Kevin. Just a noise you made. And yet, I've sure conveyed something to the audience. All right, let's see how good this blade is. And I'll probably switch it up. It's providing a degree of resistance that I'm not happy about. Do that. You know, we'll get through both pieces. It'll be fine. So just to recap, this is an alteration of the hand-drawn pattern that I did, I guess it was 2 months ago. And that's cool because this was, you know, completely from scratch. 100% Operation Puppet original. A lot of my builds are things that I've started with a commercially available pattern and then altered it. But this one is completely out me head. Which is one of the reasons I'm thinking of making it available commercially. And what I would do is, like, after I'm finished all of the, like, you know, the body pattern and the hand pattern and all that stuff, I put it all together and then just sell it as a unit. Here's your Goblin puppet patterns, and you know, the features and things are what people would have to improvise on, but that's kind of the point. Just going to cut these darts out, which is always a bit weird. But what I would do, if I do end up doing that, I probably will, is I'll also, like, create a video series of just building it so people can follow along. And I think that will be really helpful. And popular. Okay, there we go. So we got our two halves of the skull. So now we just got to glue it all together. We may actually be done before the 2 hours. If that's the case, we can go on and I'll do a quick body for this just to see. Okay, so glue this together, or we can make the fleece pattern. That's what we can do. I'm thinking for the shop, these are probably going to have fur bodies. It's going to be fleece head, fur body, fleece arms, much like the Greeblies and Ernies and Squugs. It's a good word. Here's one of the things. Limited time available Greeblies exclusive 1 of 100 premium. Well, that's not a bad idea, actually. One of the things is coming up with names for the models on the shop sometimes can be challenging. I could not for the life of me come up with a name for this the wide head puppet that's in the same family as the Greeblies and the Nernies. And I just ended up, as I usually do when I'm like making a new Dungeons & Dragons character or something, I'll just start making sounds that have the kind of feel of the character's personality and just go with that. But of course, when I'm doing something, you know, for the public, that's for the store, I got to make sure that it isn't something already. So I ended up on Squug, and Squug is in Urban Dictionary, but thankfully it's not rude. It's actually a combination of squeeze and hug. So I thought, that's good. We'll go with that. No E, but yes, you are correct. That is how it's spelled. Just without the E. Because I think that would be pronounced Squoog. Which is also good. But let me tell you, not everything I've Urban Dictionaried has turned out to be innocent and sweet. It is a pitfall of the naming things business. Thankfully, I knew Greeblies and Nernies were existing words anyway, so that was fine. And they're not like a copyrighted thing, so. Okay. Mike is going to get muted. For dictionary, I was slang like, oh, that's what they mean. Oh, yeah, no, believe me. At my age and on the internet, Urban Dictionary is an absolute essential resource. All right. Muting the mic. Missed an edge. Oops. Muking, yes. I don't know, look that up in Urban Dictionary. Or maybe don't. Probably don't want to know. Almost certainly it can't be good. Murking is the closest word that means discreet or shady homicide. Murking. Okay. One of those words that nobody's ever used. Shady homicide, as opposed to one of those, you know, Saturday morning in the public square homicides. Yes, there's any such thing as a non-shady homicide. right. That. Bottom jaw. There's our new foam skull. Forthwith homicide. I guess maybe a duel would be non-shady homicide? Because it's public, I guess? Something like that? I don't know. So now we're going to glue the mouth plates in. There's a website I use for archaic words I've used for D&D naming terms. Do you want me to find it and send it to you? You can take and fill with it. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Along those lines, you just reminded me, there's a really great podcast called Something Rhymes with Purple. It's by a couple of folks in the UK, one of them being Giles Brandreth, who's fairly famous. He used to be an MP, he's been on television forever. And Susie Dent, who's a lexicographer, and that's what they do, is they talk about obscure, archaic, like word origins and stuff. It's really, really good. Something Rhymes with Purple. Highly recommended. Or is it just Rhymes with Purple? I'll look it up in a second and tell you. It's one of my go-to podcasts. I'm sure if you were to Google Rhymes with Purple, Susie Dent, you'll find it. As I'm putting the glue on the inside here, I'm also making sure I go over the edges of the grips, or the elastic on the grips, because that can fray and the glue stops it from fraying. The ska seems to be a winner. Maybe we'll just keep the ska playlist. And that way we can get some Waypoint people in here, because I know that ska is real big on the Waypoint radar. Do you like puppets and ska? Okay. Hairdryer. Mic mute. Thank you, Seth. That's a good call, Zep. That actually will be useful for me. These are hard. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put the bottom mouth plate in first. Looks pretty good. distance-wise, I'm having to stretch a little bit, but not much. A little bit of stretch is fine. One of the nice things with the stretch is it creates this little curve here. I like that. Yeah, the Oracle will definitely be into that. Maybe that could be an episode, right? And the Oracle just starts using obscure words, and Frankie be like, what do you talk? Are you just saying this sound like you're smart? Oh, you got a problem. Okay, I think I fixed it. I hope I fixed it. Nothing's worse than an unfixed problem. All right. I think we're all right. I'm feeling good. Okay, big reveal. Here we go. So that's a good overbite right there. There's plenty of room for teeth in that mouth. Plus, we've got it nice and flexible. That's not bad. I think we can work with this. I think in future, for the next iteration, I'm going to make this mouth plate slightly pointier. But that's not bad. And that texture on the inside of the plastic of the mouth plate actually does help. Like, that's a lot easier to do than it normally is. So there we go. There's our new Goblin head pattern. So where are we at here? Hour 36? Yeah, we could do the fabric pattern. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Everybody comments on the dimples. They're great. They give so much character, and the beautiful part is you don't have to do any work for it. It just happens. It's just the way that the fabric folds, or the material folds. That's what Kermit has. This is exactly how it's done. It's just this. Just you make a Pac-Man shape and then close it, and that's how it folds. Truth be told, that's how it works with humans too. Okay, so we're going to make the fabric the skin for the head. Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And the thing is, you can then do iterations and then control it. That's why, for example, on the skull pattern, we sometimes do this little cutout circle here, because if you put foam in there of a different consistency, or even what you usually do is you make this bigger than the hole that it's going in. And so what that does is it kind of puckers it out, and you make it out of a softer foam than the rest of the skull, and it makes it easier to open and close the jaw, but you can control kind of how big these dimples are, right? But it is largely a happy accident to get into the Bob Ross thing again. Okay, so there we go. We're good with that. So we're going to do the fabric pattern for the skull. And we can put the barge away. And I'm going to get some 12 by 12 cardstock here. This is larger because we want to put a neck on this. No, that's good. Keep them coming, Zep. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so the two things we have to do. I haven't really used Glyph Web. Use the Glyph Web one much, so I can't vouch for it. I'm sure at some point there's going to be something in there that's good stuff. Okay, so Just one sec. I want to make sure I haven't missed any notifications. I do keep my phone on mute when I'm streaming, but I just want to make sure I am expecting a delivery or two. So, nope, nothing yet. Okay. So, the two things we have to do to make this into a skin pattern, particularly for fleece, is we know there's going to be a lip on the inside here, right? So the skin's going to have to come down and fold over this edge. So we're going to want to add that much on to the inside here. We also want to, of course, create a bit of a neck tube. And that's it. The fabric should be, the pattern for the fabric should be a bit bigger than the pattern for the foam, otherwise it compresses the foam too much. But the way that I usually do that, if I'm not going to do draping, which is something I really need to do more of, and make a fresh pattern, if I'm just using the foam pattern as a base like I am now, what I'll do is when I'm cutting it out, I'll just make sure I cut on the outside of the line rather than the inside of the line, and that usually gives enough clearance for the fabric, be it fleece or fur. If I was going to do this in fur, I wouldn't add the 1/4 inch on the inside of the mouth. I've noticed that because fur has just got so much thickness to it, if you do that, you just kind of lose the definition of the inside of the mouth. The fur kind of creates its own lip. So that's good to know. So, the neck tube. Well, actually, no, first we'll do the 1/4 inch on the inside. There. And there. Now you can adjust this if you want like more of a lip. You can just add a 1/2 inch instead of a 1/4 inch, that kind of thing. With this, you just kind of eyeball, make sure it's parallel. And for the end, we just keep this curve going in the same trajectory. You just kind of follow through. And that's it. So for the neck, now I know I'm going to base the body on a pattern I've already been playing with, this round belly test 2 you see here. So this is the top of the body pattern. Do I have them easily available? This is kind of what I'm basing this on. This is going to be kind of what the finished body is going to look like. This is an alteration of a commercially available pattern, so obviously I don't want to just sell that. Although this is like 3 iterations in, so it really doesn't resemble the original pattern. But I want to do this from scratch. But I also know that the neck is going to be about this wide. So what I do, if I already have something like a reference point like this, shut up, you neck tube, yeah. If I already have a reference point like this, I know that it's going to need to be about this wide. So I'll just kind of place this at an angle that seems kind of natural, right? Like, so for this, if I was going to do this, because this is going to sort of bend down like that, so we don't want a whole bunch of fabric bunching up here. So we want to make this curve relatively short. All right, so we're going to do that. And then here, we just kind of do that. And we're just spitballing here. This can change. And also remember that this part is going to be just fabric. So this can move around and fold up and stuff. And so we generally want to do a curve like this. So that should be enough. The necks always look short when you do them, but this is going to end up longer than you think. This is about the same length as a Greebly neck, and the Greeblies have a neck. It does not look like they do when you cut the pattern out. It's just the way that the fleece behaves. So there we go. I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, if we're going to sew this on the machine, you would add a seam allowance around any of the seams that you plan on sewing on a machine, but other than that, that's it. So, Goblin, overbite, piece. And let's cut that out. So I think the goal for Wednesday is I'll try and get this head at least, I mean, I'm sure I can do it, at least get this covered with fabric. That's easy. And then maybe I'll work on some hand designs. That's like just covering the head with a fleece. It's not a whole day's worth of work. But like I said, on Wednesday, I want to do the body pattern for this from scratch. Do I have two? No, this is just thick cardstock. Okay. But yeah, if I work on like a hand pattern, I think tomorrow. So I'll cover the head with fleece, work on a hand pattern. Oh, and you know what else? Ears. It's a goblin. Goblin needs ears. That's probably enough to keep me busy for tomorrow. I hope to have a finished goblin by the end of the week. That's the goal. Which is way slower than I usually work. But like I said, I'm not really in a hurry at the moment for store stock. Watch like 4 puppets sell by the end of the week, and then suddenly I'm like, oh no, I'm going to restock the store. It would be perfectly fine if that happened. And of course, as I always forget, the little dart. Boom. Here we go. There is that. This is scrap. And that is that. Where are we at time-wise? Hour 47. That's pretty close. I think that's pretty close. There really isn't much more I can do that isn't another big job that will take another hour or two, so. And that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. Now let's have a look here. So there we go. Oh, you know what? There is something we can do. I can do the fabric pattern for the mouth plate. That won't take long. And no, none of this scrap is big enough, of course. One more thing. It's E3 week, therefore we got to have a one more thing, right? It's not an exciting announcement or anything. It's just a mouth plate, but you know. So, just like we added a 1/4 inch onto the inside of the mouth here, we're going to take away a 1/4 inch on the inside of the mouth here, and that creates the lip. So all we got to do, actually, no, we don't. We've already done that because this is the same. Sorry, the one more thing was a bit of an anticlimax because we did already do that. It's already here. The original mouth plate, fabric mouth plate that I made is still usable for this. Oh well. Yeah, this right here. This is the fabric. This is the rigid mouth plate with a 1/4 inch taken off on the inside. So that is still correct. So one more thing. Oh, sorry. I guess it's like the one more thing, but it's available today. Go and download it. All right. That actually will do it. Thank you, particularly to Zep for hanging out and doing the puppet thing. We'll be doing it again on Wednesday. Like I said, we'll be doing camera. Come on. We'll be doing the body pattern from scratch for our Goblin, and hopefully we'll have at least a Goblin head partly to show. But anyway, I'm gonna go have some lunch. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of watching people stream things. Stick around for Lisa Puppets, because as soon as I go off, this will switch over to Lisa Puppets. So enjoy, and hopefully we'll see you all on Wednesday.